Yo, Internet, how's it going? This week in One Piece is actually kind of feeling a little bit more, I want to say, Alice in Wonderland-y, especially since, like, that the whole thing of this one is that they're trying to find Sanji and also Pudding on the edge of this crazy upon Whole Cake Island. And apparently, when they went into the forest, you know, with the hopes of finding Sanji, and that they have been seeing glimpses of him, it seems as though now things are kind of getting really Alice in Wonderland-y, because all the trees and plants and everything else are alive, and of course all the animals and everything else is actually sort of acting very nonchalantly, you know, of asking them for things and stuff like that. And honestly, it gets really crazy when they run into a mirror version of Luffy. And even though that may be super weird and whatnot, the biggest thing of this one is the fact of that there's a lookalike Sanji going around who's not talking to them, but is just popping up in places, almost like the Cheshire Cat. If the Cheshire Cat was somebody's friend and shit, but they inadvertently walked into this place called the Forest of Desire, and I guess the only reason, man, why all this crazy shit is happening is because of the simple fact of that they are looking for Sanji, and that the forest is giving it to them, but it's not going to let them go. If anything, is more or less like that. It just doesn't want to let them go, or at the very least that at the in the last page is almost like the forest itself is actually forcing them to not move ahead, or it's just keeping them there, which is kind of crazy. But also, give or take with how this thing kind of leads into, of course, Brook and Pedro are going off to go underneath the water to kind of infiltrate the island that way. Whereas that, of course, again, Luffy and everybody else is pretty much going on to meet up with Pudding and Sanji. But again, it's very difficult to say if this is even Sanji. It's actually more akin to this probably either being like a mirror version of him, as we saw earlier with Luffy, or most likely it could just be the forest itself, just creating a fake doppelganger of him, and then pretty much it just moves on and then tries to force them deeper and deeper into the forest so that they can't find their way out. But it's very difficult to say because that forest really doesn't seem all that big. However, there is one thing that I do kind of want to note, though, is the fact that with the crocodile with the clothes on and the rabbit riding on the stork, or I forget what kind of bird that is, but the rabbit riding on to that type of bird and shit, those actually either come from the mink. They can either come from the mink tribe, or pretty much they could just be different interpretations of, or different people who came from other islands and shit, and then just happen to be in this forest. But until then, that is what I gotta say about that. Please tell me what you think about this down there in the comment section. I'll catch you on the next Jongravesshow. Keep watching anime, keep playing video games. I'm out.